Alright, James Ray here. Right now, I want to go over what the differences are when you install, the differences between the photos of solar companies that have high levels of customer satisfaction and those posted photos of installations on a Facebook group called Crap Solar, just so you can see the differences of what can happen when people get solar and batteries. Okay? So let's dive into it. All right. So if you look here, here's Solar Quotes. It's a popular website for getting quotes from solar companies and making sure that they are done to a high standard. So this is Solar Quotes leaderboard. All right. So from their website, you can just find it from this page here, all solar reviews, and then installers, and then view all top rated installers. So this is their leaderboard, and you can see that these are the top 4 companies. So I've already pulled them up on Google Maps here, and I've also got this. Let's take a look on Crap Solar. So this is their Facebook page. Alright, so we'll take a look at that, come back to that in a moment. So let's look at the first company on that leaderboard table, Resync Solar. So you can see the average rating is pretty similar for all the 4 companies, 4.97 to 4.99 stars. Resync does stand out for having a high number of reviews in total, 2792. Okay, so let's take a look. So I'm not going to look at the content of reviews, like what people have said, but though it does helpful to take a look at that. Often people will praise the installation quality, the customer support, the salespeople, and so on. So this is a Anker Solix battery. Resync do a lot of them. Now, one thing that stands out here is that you often see in battery installations is the batteries are actually stuck on the battery themselves. Technically speaking, for it to be compliant, it should actually be on the wall. So the problem with sticking on a wall is that the stickers can peel off over time, so it needs to be in a. It needs to use uh uh what's a signage rather than just stickers. So like core flute signs that are like bolted onto the wall rather than just stickers that can peel off over time. This is obviously in a garage. There's 2 bollards to prevent a vehicle from impacting it. That's required for compliance for any garage battery installation. You can see isolators and so forth. So the Anker Solix battery is a popular choice for garage installations because it's only 15 centimeters out from the wall, 670 mils wide, and this would be about with 15 kilowatt hours here. It's 1.6, about 1.6 meters high. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm just gotta. Yeah, okay, there we go. This is another install. So again, this is inside by the looks of it. It's propped up on these concrete blocks. It's a bit crude, but it is better than just being on the floor, I guess, if it flooded, for example. They are using cables in conduit, or at least flex cables. Yeah, that's flex. So it's not exposed cables. It's just flex cable guard there. And this is another 15 kilowatt hour battery, same as the last one we saw. So overall, it looks compliant, except for the batteries again stuck on the battery, the labels stuck on the battery itself. If we look at the next one, presumably this is installed indoors. Yeah, there's two bollards there. So any outdoor installation, the top entry into isolators is a no-no. Indoors, it's still technically compliant, but the downside of that is that if these cables have any can have any condensation come into them from the top, then that can trickle into the isolators, which can cause water ingress, and that water and electricity don't mix well together. Not saying that's a possibility here. It might be. It just depends on how if water can come into the cables from above, which it might not. Again, this is a 20 kilowatt hour battery with anchor at 1.96 meters high. Next one, we could keep going, but yeah, kind of get the gist of it. Overall, the installation quality looks pretty good. It looks decent. This is a 10 kilowatt hour battery, so just two 5 kilowatt hour modules plus the inverter on top. This is outdoors, and it is top entry for the isolators, which isn't ideal. Yeah, it's not. I think that's technically non-compliant. So rather than be just pulling that, I mean, you can verify that independently with Australian standards, but is cable entering an isolator outdoors? So this would be this could be probably DC cabling. It could be AC cabling, but if it's DC, is it that non-compliant? Okay, it says it can be compliant. Just depends on how it enters and how the enclosure maintains IP rating and mechanical protection. So yeah, there were a lot of rooftop isolators being installed on roofs, but that's since been removed as a requirement under Australian standards because those rooftop isolators caused more issues than they resolved, like fires and water ingress, so causing system failures. So yeah, I mean, bottom entry is generally preferred, though. It is better practice for outdoor isolators. So yeah, it would have been better if they had the cables entering from the bottom rather than from the top. Yeah, so DC cable entering from the top outdoors with no proper gland or drip loop is commonly non-compliant, or at least poor practice. So if I mean, this might be an AC coupled battery. I'm not entirely sure. But it does have cables entering on the left and the right, which suggests it may be DC coupled. So if it's DC, if these are DC coupled cables, then it's is technically non-compliant. If it's AC coupled, then it might not be. It's hard to. Not sure if you can read these isolators. The inverter. Yeah, I can't really make that out. Keep in mind, I'm not an electrician, but yeah, generally speaking, to just again, bottom entry of isolators is a better practice to avoid condensation dripping down into the isolator, especially if it's outdoors. This is another one. So the solar panel installation rather than the battery. Generally, looks like a decent quality installation. It's the panels aren't uh, within clearance requirements from the roof edges to ensure the structural integrity of the roof. This is kind of like overhanging the gutter. I mean, it's not terrible, but um, generally speaking, it is better practice to leave a bit more of a distance between the gutter line and the panels themselves. But um, if they, I guess, if they that would have meant that they would have installed less panels. So um, yeah, the panel every single panel has different clearance requirements. So this may be in keeping with the manufacturers. I think recent yeah, it may be in keeping with the manufacturer's clearance requirements, but Australian standards also tend to have clearance requirements, and usually a best practice is to have two rows of tiles from the top and bottom of the panels, and so it looks kind of crammed in here. So, but if they wouldn't have really been able to install two rows of panels. Um, you know, if they yeah, it would if they'd remove this row, it would just mean they would have only been able to install less. So adding have more panels does provide more benefit for the homeowner for the long term. So let's keep going. Another 10 kilowatt hour Anker battery. Um, so it's indoors, so there is top entry through the cables. So there, it looks like the ice. This is it. You can see it's clearly labeled an AC isolator there. So it may be AC isolators entering from the right and DC on the left. Okay. I'm going to check the installation manual for Anker to verify that. But yeah, it looks like AC's on the left, maybe DC on the right. Yeah, so that looks generally fine. So I think, you've seen quite a bit. Rethink, just in interest of not dragging on for too long. This looks okay. So you can see that the, there's no top entry, which is better here. And yeah, it's a 20 kilowatt hour battery. Again, the stickers are on the battery rather than on the wall, so not ideal. But yeah, it would have been better to use Corflute signs on the wall. That would have been technically compliant. It is very common though for the stickers to be stuck on the battery rather than on the wall. But again, still technically that is non-compliant. This looks fine. Here, the looks like the distance of the concrete backing sheet is quite thin to either side of the battery. Technically speaking, if the wall is a non-flammable material, the backing sheet should extend to 600 mils either side of the battery. So it looks here it's only extended. It may not be 600 mils by the looks of it, because the battery itself is 670 mils wide, so it looks like it's quite a short extension of distance. Presumably, and this distance to the window is also quite short. Should be any battery installed in Australia must be at least 600 millimeters from any windows that open to habitable rooms. So this window may not open to a habitable room, or they may keep it shut. And yeah, it's also needs to be at 600 millimeters from any air conditioners as well, or other appliances like gas, hot water systems, or hot water heat pumps, as well as gas pipes, gas meters. Okay, let's keep going. If we look here, the battery looks like, let's zoom in here. It looks like it's propped up on some fairly thin pavers, which isn't really ideal, because if it rained, then the soil underneath could loosen, and that could cause it to shift. So it's not really ideal. Any concrete, it would have been better to put a whole concrete slab with gravel underneath, so that way it would actually um, that would it would be more secure for the long term, and have a more solid foundation. So yeah, that's not ideal. So even you can see, even with like a company with very high levels of customer satisfaction ratings, some the average layperson may not be able to pick up on these kind of issues, so they can still occur. This generally looks pretty good. Alright, I think we can move on to the next company in the interest of time. So let's look at Jet Solar. Actually, I mean, we could look at all four of these companies, but it could take quite a while. So let's switch to looking at this Crap Solar Facebook group to see some examples of things being called out going wrong. So this person's selling their battery trying to sell their battery on Facebook Marketplace for 10 grand. This is pretty poor. This is really bad. You can see here this cable is just, it's just being like secured to the drain pipe, and like it's just hanging loosely on the wall, running up from the inverter, and then yeah, that's pretty poor. Uh, it is in conduit, but yeah, it's not ideal. I mean, considering that this is going to last for 10 years, it's you know, it's not just the aesthetic thing, but I mean, not only does it not look good, but it just shows pretty poor workmanship. Not being secured very well like that, you know, could be problematic for the long term. You know, with this cable just securing the cable. I mean, that could get become damaged like over time with like UV degradation. Looks like it's just a cable, so yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to be the most reliable, long-lasting sort of thing that compared to something that's actually clamped properly to the wall. Um, so let's keep looking. If you are using music to focus. Alright, another one with a paver issue, so yeah, they've looks like they've kind of just propped it up against this between the bricks here, so there's no pavers really. So it's a day system, so um yeah. These cables look like they're non-compliant. They haven't really been clamped to the wall, and they're exposed cables. Also, they've actually used a extension cable with a couple of pavers there. Hmm. Oh, they've just like propped it up with this little concrete brick or whatever you want to call it. So this one, um, this is like the not just the battery itself, but the component of the electrical work with the components. So if you look here, there's cables entering through the top, and you can see here that water could enter through these holes. So again, water and electricity don't mix well together, and so that can cause corrosion and electrical faults over time. So that's going to reduce the longevity of the system. Again, this is pretty poor workmanship here. You could have ants or whatever coming through these holes. So it's exposed cables as well. So pretty shoddy workmanship. It's pretty, yeah, you can see the wiring just pretty messy inside as well. And note it says warranty void if seal is broken, and you know yeah, um, these seals are effectively broken up here. You can see there's already corrosion down here as well. Yeah, and so that just goes to show it's already faulty here. So um, it's just reading the energy generation and consumption are the same. So yeah, you can see there's a CT clamp here, and there's not even any cable passing through it. So the CT clamps, they clamp over one one clamp will clamp over the the um the cable connecting to the inverter that outputs the generation. Another will clamp over the main switch, the mains cable that supplies power to the home from the grid. And so that's what each of these CTs should be measuring, but as you can see here, it looks like this CT isn't even clamped over any wires, and um, yeah, I don't know. It's not even apparent if it is here either. Okay, so this is only 3 years old. It's already has corrosion, Energizer battery. So it's a white label battery. I'm not sure what the original manufacturer is, but they put the Energizer label on it. Yeah. So currently, Energizer batteries are um, being sold on the market as relabeled Fox ESS batteries. So yeah, it's pretty poor. I mean, the Anker Solix batteries, they do have C5M corrosion resistance, and the corrosion resistance with Tesla batteries are even better. So this is one reason why presumably it's fairly close to the ocean here. Someone's even asked that in the comments, but there wasn't any reply. So yeah, any batteries that are close to the ocean, Tesla is probably the best choice and could be second best. And it's always best to install a battery indoors whenever possible, rather than outdoors. When I say indoors, in the garage, like it needs to be a non-habitable room, like a garage, or it can be under shelter, like a patio area. As long as it's out of direct sunlight, then that'll help to keep it cool. And batteries are meant to be IP66, like so resistant to water and dust ingress. But evidently the corrosion resistance of this particular battery is very poor. Okay, so this is a Fox ESS battery. Um, so, oh, there's been a couple of recent articles. So Fox ESS is a budget battery. It's not necessarily the fault of the hardware here, but it's the installation quality. So this particular battery is having a fault, as noted in the comments here. It's throwing a low voltage error, and what's happening is they've just installed it on a milk crate to when it's on sandy soil, and so it's a 370 kilogram battery stack. And so what happens when it rains is this soil will loosen up, and will cause it to sink. That has caused the battery to sag under the weight, and um, but because this battery isn't, like, the battery stack isn't mounted to the wall except for this top module up here, you can see that here, it's caused a gap here between the two battery modules, and so that's caused it to um, probably have a disconnection in the electrical components, and causing a low voltage error. Okay, so it's essentially it's not because of that error. It won't be producing and performing. It will be underperforming. So even though it's a budget battery, it means that this particular customer won't be getting the most out of their investment. And given this battery is probably only a year or two old, given that Fox ESS entered the home battery market, in the last year or so, and more batteries were installed from July 2025 to December 2025 than there were in the 5 years before that. It's likely installed, within since July 2025, and so it's already having this issue. So it just goes to show that just trying to save money up front, it's very important to, even if looking at a budget battery, to make sure that you choose a company that has a higher reputation for very high levels of customer satisfaction to avoid issues from occurring in the first place. See the difference with that? So we can come back to that these but let's keep looking at go back to looking at Jet Solar and see what some of their installations look like. So you can see that yeah, panels there. Looks pretty decent. As long as the panels aren't too close to the roof edges, definitely not overhanging the edges, and generally it's okay. Also, another red flag would be any exposed cables. That's also not generally a good sign. And then getting up close, a good thing to check is has tile grinding been done? So if you look where the feet of the mounting frames slide under the tiles, the tiles should be ground back such that the feet slot into the groove in the tile, and that way there shouldn't be any visible gap between the tile and the tile underneath it, because that would then cause water ingress, and then that would lead to mold and structural damage, which is very expensive to repair. So it's just more photos. Again, looks pretty decent. Can't see anything amiss there. It's just, can't really see it close up, but yeah, again, it looks pretty fine. Again, this is okay. So this is a Tesla Powerwall 3. Two of them, or no, this is a Powerwall 3 an expansion pack, and presumably another Powerwall 3 as well. So there's 40.5 kilowatt hours, 2 bollards, and a Tesla EV charger as well. So overall, I can't spot anything wrong with the installation quality. The isolators don't have any top entry cable. There's no stickers on the batteries, which is good as well. So overall, I can't find any fault. Looks like they've used stainless steel cable clamps as well, wall cable clamps, which is good, rather than the zinc ones, which are more prone to corrosion over time. But it looks like this is probably indoors as well. Given the bollards, it would likely be in the garage. It doesn't look like there's sunlight as well, so that's overall it's very good. Just keep going. Sungrow 9.6 kilowatt hour battery, so a small system, concrete slabs, which is good. It doesn't look like there's gravel underneath the slab, but it is a thick slab, which is good, and it's a large slab, so generally that's should hold up pretty well when it rains. I mean, the soil underneath could still soften a little bit, overall pretty decent. I mean, if they put in gravel underneath, that would have been a plus. It's not apparent that there is, but yeah, like, yeah. So overall, looks pretty good. I mean, that's probably an understatement. It is. And it's good that they put their company label on it. It's keeping them accountable to the customer can contact them if something goes wrong, if they have any issues. So note that it is next to a window here, but it looks like that this window doesn't open anyway. And it may be a non-habitable room like a bathroom or laundry behind here, so that this is all compliant from what I can see. And you can see the labels also to the side of the battery, so that's all very good. Oh, the foundation vent, the battery is within 600 millimeters of the foundation vent, which technically, well, it's if the foundation vent was opening to habitable rooms, then it would be non-compliant, but or if it goes underneath, maybe it's non-compliant. But then again, blocking up the foundation vent isn't a good practice either, because they are there for a reason. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is if this foundation vent opened to directly to a habitable room behind it, then this would be non-compliant. But if the foundation vent has a non-habitable room behind it, which it looks like it does, given the bath, it looks like a bathroom laundry window here, then it may still be compliant. So I don't want to say it's non-compliant because I don't know all the context here. So this is to test the Power 3 and the gateway, just the one pollard. Yeah, stainless steel cable clamps. So, and you can see it's all in conduit as well, which is good. And you can see there's like a loop, so it's going down and coming up, which is good rather than going it's good practice because in the water it can, if there's any condensation, it can at least gather in this strip down here. Which that might not even happen. So they've installed the iStore heat pump, hot water heat pump here. All looks pretty good on a concrete slab. It's plugged in. It's electric. Yeah, it looks pretty good to me. You can see there's insulation on the copper cable as well to prevent heat loss, so that's good. So yeah, we haven't really found faults so far. All looks pretty good. You can see that looks quite decent to me. I mean, the stink pipe here is quite close to the panels, so it could cause some shading, but they might have put optimizers here, but if not, the shading impact would be relatively minimal overall. If they put optimizers on these two panels, that would be even better. Although that would increase the cost, so it's pros and cons. Sungrow, this looks a little bit not ideal. I mean, they could have put like silicone here or something because there is some slight gap, but I mean it's not terrible either. So this is a cable tray as well to keep it looking neater, which is good. So they've put looks like they put these panels flush on the roof. Or maybe they're on a slight tilt. It looks like these are on a slight tilt. Can't quite tell. Oh no, it does look like these are on a tilt, which is good because for any flat roof, if they're installed flush, which you can often sometimes see when panels are installed on flush on a flat roof, it's not really ideal. It's not ideal because water can pool on the surface of the panel rather than draining off, and then when it pools around the edges, that will cause oxidation of the aluminium. the aluminium frames, and then that will that can cause further performance issues over time, underperformance. It can lead to water ingress over time with oxidation and so forth, and potential delamination of the layers of the panel. Again, so they've put them on a tilt frame here with an east west or whatever north south split, so that's good. Because it could be a little bit too flat if it was just installed flush on the roof. They might not self clean in the rain properly, which is another reason for making sure they're tilted at least 10 degrees. If they're less than 10 degrees, then that can cause they won't self clean in the rain properly, and so that can cause soiling to build up over time, which will lead to performance issues. So it looks like they've installed the Enphase microinverters here. There's an Enphase iBoard. Just a photo of the installation in progress. So you can see how the rails have been set up here before the panels have gone up. So you can see this row is lower than this, and same thing here and here. So it's this is the east-west split one. That's good. All right. Oh, you can see here the detail. You can see, zoom in to get a close up. So you can see they've run the cabling along here, and they've clamped it to this rail, which is good, rather than running loosely along the roof, which you can sometimes see for lower quality installations. So I mean, ideally, like having exposed cabling is good, but it's good that they've at least done this rather than just letting it run loosely across the roof, which is definitely not ideal. They might have had valid reasons to not do a roof penetration because it may have been impractical to run cabling down that way. They've included a photo of the spreadsheet comparing prices with this one. Interesting. So we've probably seen enough. They all look good quality with Jet Solar. So if we come back to crap solar, let's look at some more photos of recent installation issues. I mean, you've seen quite a lot already, so hopefully, it helps to see the difference between good solar installations and bad solar installations, and give you a bit of a more of a trained eye for how to spot issues that can occur. Okay, so this is an example of a bad solar installation. You can see that the panels are overhanging the roof edges by a wide margin, and that's not only an aesthetic problem, it's also can lead to structural damage over time, because when there's wind, it will cause wind acts as a force on the panels that will cause an uplift on the panels, like a car going over a hill, for example, that can cause it to become slightly airborne. And so that will cause upward pressure on the tiles as well, which can cause them to rattle back and forth and become brittle and break over time. And so that can lead to water ingress again, and then that can lead to mold and structural damage. So it's not ideal, in other words. And not only is it not ideal, it's actually non-compliant as well. This is a old Sunny Boy 1700 watt installed by the toilet. It's like no information about the company or anything in this ad, so it's a bit of a red flag. And it is better to do site visits to avoid any unexpected surprises. At the same time, the solar industry is very competitive, and so um, uh, it can often be a waste of time going out to site visits, and then someone just decides to go with another company that just based on price or whatever. Um, but there is a lot of value in meeting someone in person and assessing the home. Yeah, but it is for even for a remote site visit, it is important to assess it remotely by getting photos of the meter board where the battery can be installed, and then if it's not clear whether it scheduling a site visit can help to have a clearer picture of what the requirements are. Yes, so this person's complaining that they had Rise Solar install their system 6 months ago, and 3 months later it's not even working. They call them every day, nothing's happened. This is actually quite because this happened quite a lot in complaints that people make of companies that install budget systems at cheap prices. Yeah, because often what's hidden in a cheap price is the cutting corners on the installation quality and the level of customer support. And so, yeah, these companies they tend to skimp on paying, having enough staff available to provide customer support. So they're more focused on just selling and install and paying subcontractors at lower rates. And so that leads to more complaints over time. So if you look up Arise Solar on Google Maps, just to illustrate, hold on, we've got to zoom out here. to all of Australia. Let's try again. Horizon Solar. They are based in, here we go, Queensland. No, that's the wrong one. They only have 3 reviews. There we go. So they do have a large number of reviews, as they do install high volumes at cheap prices, but you can see that average star rating is 4.5 stars. That might seem okay, but if you compare with one of these these top 4 companies on SolarQuotes, 4.9 stars, 5.0 stars, 5.0, 4.9 stars. Okay, see the difference between them and 4.6 stars, 4.5 stars with the Rise Solar. So effectively, that's 1 in 10 people on average have some kind of complaint, or didn't have an overall fully satisfactory experience. So you can look at the lowest. I like to look at not only the 5-star reviews to see what goes well, but the 1-star reviews. So if you click here, sort lowest ratings, sometimes you'll get people that kind of leave. They don't even seem to be like an actual customer, but that includes leaving 1-star reviews as well as 5-star reviews. But here you can see disappointing experience after the installation was done. Before signing up, everything sounded great. They promised cashback, complimentary gift, sales team very responsive, system installed, payment completed. The attitude completely changed. After sales support has been extremely poor. Customer service representatives show little to no interest in helping. Getting responses difficult, and when they do reply, nothing actually gets resolved. Cashback and the complimentary gift that were promised still haven't been sent, and there's been no clear update or follow through. It honestly feels like once they secure the sale, they stop caring about the customer. Communication has been frustrating and unhelpful, and I regret choosing the company. Based on my experience, I would strongly advise others to think carefully before going with this provider, especially if the promises made during the sales process are important to you. So it just goes to show the customers' experiences speak louder than what the company can promise, and so looking at the 1-star reviews will give you a strong indication of whether what the risk is to you if you chose to go with the same company. All right. So you can see this kind of issue coming up time and time and time again. People have a bad experience after the installation. They might have a fault where the system is underperforming, or it might take a long time to get installed. They might cancel it on the day. They might cancel it multiple times. They might be scheduling cancellations and so on. The installation quality can be low. There can be defects like the roof leaks and so forth. So these mistakes can be and issues can be very costly, especially if the system fails after a few months. People spend multiple grand. They have to effectively get it replaced by another company because they're not even answering the phone. All right. So that's a pretty broad summary. You can look in more detail. And so, yeah. This is another one from the Crap Solar page. So it's pretty it obviously doesn't look good. But I mean, uh, it's not. I mean, it's not the worst I've seen. Um, I mean, it definitely doesn't look good. I wouldn't say it's not non-compliant. Um, but yeah, it obviously definitely doesn't look good. Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people saying it's not the worst they've seen. Um, yeah, it doesn't actually seem that bad. So it's kind of in line with what I was saying. It's ugly. Does that mean it's bad and safe? No, it's just not the most appealing thing to look at. So technically, yeah, I can't find fault with it not being compliant. Like the cables are in conduit. Um, if cables aren't in conduit, they need to be like from 300 millimeters from a point of entry to inverter or the switchboard. They need to have a multi-core gland, which it looks like they do here. So it's bottom entry through the isolators. So overall, it does look like it's compliant. But again, it doesn't look especially good. So this particular one, apparently, that I mean, it was this Foxy says it was installed by a company that won't finish the job, which is pretty weird. Um, so again, not to ban Brash. I mean, there have been plenty of Fox ESS installs that have been to a good quality. So it's not so much the hardware, but because it is a budget battery, it does tend to attract installers that install it to a low standard. In other words, where they're rushing to get the job done, they may not be getting paid much by the company, and so they cut corners on the quality and don't really get the job done to a high standard. So just to wrap up, let's look at a couple more from these two companies, Brightworks and Direct Solar Wholesaler. You kind of get the picture by now. Um, they do have 5.0 they only have 6 5-star reviews on Google Maps, but they do have a lot more on Solar Quotes. Again, over here they have Brightworks um, has if you look at their average rating, um, they have 4.97 stars on Solar Quotes, 274 reviews. Okay. So yeah, if you go back to Brightworks, there's not too many photos, and it might help to look at the photos of them on their Solar Quotes profile. So it's a Sig Energy battery. It looks overall very neat. They've installed the extra widening cable, um, sort of it makes it look neater here. So Sig Energy is a premium brand. That's the Gateway. Yeah, overall looks very good. We keep looking at more photos. Not too many photos. Interesting garden. Looks decent. Looks okay. That looks alright. Looks fine. So this is the SigEnergy app. See how it works. Shows the power flows coming from the panels, going to the home, and in this case exporting to the grid. It can also be importing if they had high power and the batteries was flat, for example. Again, it looks very neat with this extra. So this extra, I guess, because you call it a cable guard, it just makes it the whole installation look neater. And it hides the cable entry as well. Interestingly, I'm not sure if this was after the installation was completed, but you can see that there aren't any visible cables on this isolator, so it might be, I don't know, going through the wall and coming in through the, again, out through the wall, or it might just be before the installation was fully complete. Yeah, but overall you can see the installation quality looks to a very high standard. The cabling, external cabling is very minimal. You barely see it in these SigEnergy photos. Well, you can't. So that's good. You can see it, yeah. Not only functions well, but it makes it look nice, and it's considering that it's going to be there for 10 more years for I mean, for homeowners that want the home to look nice and add value to the home, then this is important. Is like having it the installation done, not just to a high standard, but looking good. Is a bonus. It does appeal to people. Okay, so this, no, we'll look at a couple more. So you can see they're doing a lot of SigEnergy batteries, Brightworks, mostly SigEnergy by the looks of it. Yeah, that looks fine. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's move on to, we looked at Jet, let's look at Direct Solar Wholesaler. Alright, so Solax battery. Sorry, this is the inverter. So this looks a little messy here. I mean, it's technically compliant. I'm not 100% sure if it's compliant. The earth cables and communication cables are exposed here. Um, so uh, it does look like I'm not sure if these are stainless steel or zinc, but they do look more like stainless steel. which is good. So they are high corrosion resistance. But yeah, I mean, ideally it would have been better if these were kept within conduit rather than being exposed like that. But at least it's not a huge run, like distance that the cables run. It might be over 300 millimeters, which I think it's only DC cables that need to be in conduit for any external cables, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Let's ask ChatGPT. Do Earth and comms communications cables need to be in conduit to be compliant if outdoors? Not always, but in many outdoor situations, they effectively do need mechanical protection, and conduit is the most common compliant method. So yeah, mechanical protection means they're protected from damage by mechanical instruments like drills or grind angle grinders or whatever, as well as from vermin and so forth. Adventurous kids is another one. So yeah, if earthing cables are exposed to damage outdoors, they generally require mechanical protection. Bare earth conductors are commonly allowed on rooftops, PV module bonding if installed correctly and secured appropriately. If running down walls or inaccessible areas, conduit is commonly required or strongly expected. Communications data cables, CTs, RS485, Ethernet, battery comms, etc., usually require protection from UV exposure, mechanical damage, and moisture ingress. Outdoor rated cable may be permitted without conduit in some situations, but installers often still use conduit for compliance and durability. Ethernet cable outdoors especially becomes an issue if it is not UV rated. So yeah, technically, like, these cables look like they are non-compliant. Um, yeah, so it's not ideal here. But otherwise, other than the earth and comms cables, it looks like a decent installation overall. Other than that. But at the same time, because they are exposed to, they aren't mechanically protected properly. They're exposed to UV and water. That could lead to lower durability over time, lower longevity, and so forth. So this looks like it's under shelter, which is good, and looks compliant. So these cables, there looks like less than 300 millimeter distance between the multi-hole glands and the multi-hole gland from the conduit. So that looks fine to me, at least. All right, so I think we've seen enough. Been going for a while now, so you can see plenty more examples on crap solar. So let's just look at a few more of those. I'll just scroll through real quick. Yeah, so again, this one with Solar Power Nation, they mentioned it there was zero communication. 5 months down the line, they reckon they've eaten the rebate and done nothing. So no installed battery, no comms, yet I signed a contract. Now they eventually respond to say they will cancel the contract, but do not seem to want to prove they have cancelled the rebate application, etc. Solar Power Nation, Solar One Nation, don't go there, blah blah blah. This is yeah, this is a pretty poor example. You can see that they've just got the cable just in a coil here, so it's non-compliant. This whole loop is exposed cable, not in conduit, so it's not mechanically protected. It's exposed to UV and water ingress, so that will lead to faults over time. Um, Again, it's not necessarily it's not Fox's fault. They not responsible for installation quality, but it is the fault of the company, whether they use subcontractors or the company or not. The company is still responsible for ensuring that the installation is done to a high standard. And so if it's not, then that indicates the company isn't taking proper responsibility for the quality of installations, and therefore you should avoid doing business with the company. All right. To end on a positive note, we'll just look at a couple more 5-star reviews of this company, Direct Solar Wholesaler. So they said, Direct Solar Wholesale helps me with my first home, solar panel and battery installation. The staff are very friendly and helpful. Provide me with a very thorough proposal, and the quote is very competitive. The whole installation process was quite smooth and quick. The app is super easy to use and read all the details. Customer service was great and highly recommend to people who need to install the solar panel or the battery or the whole package. And one more. We engaged Direct Solar Wholesale Energy Group for installation of a home battery to complement our existing home solar. Everything ran smoothly from start to finish. The initial installation date was 4 to 6 weeks, but due to availability in the installer's schedule, our installation was complete in less than 2 weeks. Since the battery has been installed, we haven't drawn electricity from the grid at all. This proves that the system that was recommended to us based on our existing energy usage patterns is what we needed. We are very happy with the product, price, and customer service. Highly recommended. Alright, that's enough. I'll end it there. Hopefully you've found it helpful. I know it's quite long. We've been going for an hour and 13 minutes now. So if you are looking for I mean, you can see here that there's 5 companies that 4 companies I've been through. But yeah, my recommendation would be, if you're looking to get quotes, would be to contact one of these companies in the top rating. I mean, you don't have to, you can, but again, by choosing a company with very high levels of customer satisfaction, you are just, I mean, you might spend a little more than compared to what you might be able to get quotes from other companies, but you'll just be ensuring that you will be putting yourself in a position where you will have much less risk of having a bad experience in the first place. See how that works? Okay. And if you are looking to get advice on installing a solar and battery system for your home, or upgrading maybe an existing one that you have, feel free to leave a comment. You can reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. Here's my profile, James Solar Array. You can find me there. Send me a message on Messenger and I'll get back to you when I can. If I get busy and inundated with messages, then it might take me a while to get back to you. You can also contact me, leave a comment on YouTube, hit the like button if you found this video helpful, and hit the subscribe button to my YouTube channel. Or if you're on other social media channels, my Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, again, feel free to follow me on those channels and stay tuned for more content. If you've got any requests for topics that you'd like me to cover, let me know, and I'll see if I can do that for you.